So thank you for joining the second to none first live episode of the show. I'm Michael Spencer. We put this together so we can, we're super fans of our teams and stuff like that. I have gathered some gentlemen who are extremely well versed in their football teams, and not just their football teams, but they're well versed in the SEC as a whole. So I just want to thank all these guys for coming out to help me to put this together. And with that being said, I would like to just go around the room and just let each person just their names and who they represent. Of course, you could probably see what they're wearing, so that probably gives it away. But still, I want to give them a chance to actually introduce themselves and show their love of their football team or their school, period. We'll start with you, Chris.
All right, my name is Chris. As you can tell, I'm a Vanderbilt fan. You can find me on Twitter as Vandy Chris. I also have a baseball group that I created on Facebook that's called College Baseball Smack. It's dedicated to the sport of college baseball nationwide. It doesn't matter what conference, what team, you're welcome to join. I got into this because I love Vanderbilt. I grew up in Western Iowa. I moved here in 1990, and I am what they call a sidewalk alumni. I went to my first Vanderbilt game with no connection whatsoever. I've been a fan ever since.
Okay, Chris, appreciate it. Wesley?
My name is Wes Simpson. I am not a sidewalk alum. I actually graduated from the University of Alabama. I'm rocking the Braves hat because that's the official team of the SEC. They're pretty much Southeast pulls for all of us. It's not looking good for us right now. We're down 5-2, but we've already won the series. So I graduated from the University of Alabama. I worked for athletic department when I was in school. So I am a huge, obviously I bleed crimson, but I do pull SEC through and through. Auburn, Tennessee, it doesn't matter. Even though they're big rivals, I still pull for them because we are one big family. You can find me on Twitter at Wes Simpson 13. Obviously, you can see how far back that was because I used the 13. That was how many national championships we had at the time. So we're about 5 past that now. So if you guys have any other questions, let me know. I'll throw out my links next week as well. I have them listed up. I share a lot of stuff about, the SEC, baseball, like all kind of fun sports stuff. I try to stay away from the other stuff. Like sports is supposed to be fun, supposed to be lighthearted for all of us. So that's what I like to try to do.
I appreciate that. Matt, let's go with you.
My name is Matt Short. I love the Kentucky Wildcats. I've grown up enjoying watching them ever since I was like 8 years old and haven't stopped.
Oh, okay. Go Cats.
Okay.
Dustin.
Hello, my name is Dustin Gregg. I'm representing the University of Tennessee. Went to my very first Tennessee game whenever I was like 6 and haven't stopped bleeding orange ever since. Love Tennessee sports, Tennessee football. Love it through and through. The bad, the good, the ugly. I just love the University of Tennessee. So go Big Orange, go Vols.
Hey guys, I appreciate that. You can tell you guys are all extremely passionate about what it is that you guys do. The reason why we wanted to go on this week is we wanted to. Vandy opens up this week with the 27th against Hawaii. So it's really funny, Wesley, that you mentioned that you're an SEC guy and you root, because I was kind of curious on how you guys actually, because like you said, Auburn is a big rival. Tennessee's a big rival for you guys. So I was just kind of wondering, I was thinking earlier today, how do you guys feel about other SEC teams when they're playing outside the conference? And you kind of answer that for you as a fan. It seems to be that most SEC fans, they cheer for the SEC no matter if the SEC team is playing outside the conference or whatever. So do you guys feel the same way, or do you guys, if you just don't like somebody, you guys want to see them lose the whole time, every game?
So just the reason I do it, the biggest reason is self preservation too. So in the SEC, a lot of fans don't understand this. It's bad to cheer against other SEC fans outside of the SEC.
Yeah.
Because we do, so as a collective, we do revenue sharing.
Okay, yes.
All right. So if we make it to bowl games at the end of the year, the better the bowl game is, the higher the payout is. And every bowl, every team gets to take a cut of the bowl revenue, right?
Okay,
The SEC office gets a single cut, and then the rest of us get a cut.
Yeah.
So if we're going to bigger bowl games, and
The bigger the money.
the bigger the money, right? Like
Yeah.
I don't want Auburn going to Shreveport. I'd prefer that they go to someplace because let's be honest, they're probably going 8-4 at best. So like the Outback Bowl or something like that, right? Like well, this year Shreveport's probably that's a dream for them, probably, but
Okay.
that's why I root for the SEC. But it's also a chip on our shoulder, I think, and I think I can speak for I don't know. I know Dustin, and then Michael as well, and Matt maybe. We grew up in the Southeast, and there's this stigma about us being Southern.
Yeah.
And if you can see the shirt that I'm wearing, it says "Us Against the World," right?
Yeah.
Like that's kind of everybody hates the SEC because we're dominant in football, but we kind of get chided because of our educational things as well. But our institutions also are great institutions of higher learning. Like like Tennessee, Arkansas, Kentucky, Vanderbilt, we all have things that we're great at. Like some of the best writers, some of the best, musicians, some of the best artists came from the southeastern part of the country. So that's my spiel. The rest of you can have some time now.
Okay.
I'm very passionate. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
The only team that I will not root for I don't care who they're playing, is the University of Florida. They can go wherever. I do not like the University of Florida. I root through and through for Kentucky whenever they're playing Florida, except for when they're playing Tennessee. That is the only time. Other than that, Florida, they can go somewhere. That is the only thing that I will not root for. But other than that, no, I think Wes pretty well hit it nail on the head. I just have a love for the SEC. Just
too.
Just all the history. I mean, it's in my opinion, it's one of the most historical conferences in all of college football. Yes, we are the most dominant out of everybody, but I just have a love for the Southeastern Conference just in general. And there's bad blood between some fans, but at the end of the day, though, it's all, for most of us, it's all good and fun. You guys aggravate me. Oh, where's your mustard and where's your golf balls and everything else? That's all good and fun. And I have a good time with it as well.
That's cool.
But yes, I just love the SEC just in a whole. They're just everything about it. The stadiums, the fan base, the tailgating. I'll tell you this right here. There's no better tailgating than at LSU. I will tell you that. No better tailgating than at LSU.
You check that out.
Hey, buddy, you wanna get some good Cajun food? Go on down to LSU. I'm telling you.
You can do that and go on
Right.
the road. Yeah.
So my experience is a little bit different. I grew up in Iowa. I was born and raised an Iowa Hawkeye fan. One of my earliest memories as a Iowa fan is playing Tennessee in the Peach Bowl.
Okay.
So I kind of had an affinity for Tennessee. My stepdad was from Middle Tennessee, so I did have an affinity for him. When I moved to Tennessee, I found a lot of Tennessee fans to be arrogant. Like the whole thing is, we own this state. No, you don't own the state. You may have a bigger fan base, but you don't own anything. And it kind of turned me off to the whole Tennessee experience. So when I went to Vanderbilt, it was a Tennessee game. And some of them fans were just rude as all get out, arrogant. And it turned me off to the Tennessee experience. I don't actively cheer against them, but I can say the only sport that I cheer for them in is softball. Their softball team is impeccable. One of the greatest in the country, has been for many years. And I have no qualm saying I'm a Tennessee softball fan. So
You have it. What about you, Matt?
The SEC is rich tradition. I mean, football, basketball, baseball, softball, golf. Like, growing up when I was a little kid, Will Clark, he played for Mississippi State. He was, like we know, one of the toughest baseball players come out of the SEC. And he played for the San Francisco Giants and had a heck of a career. But as far as tailgating, Kroger Stadium, that's a great place to be on a nice fall day when all the Kentucky fans are ready to
Wow.
big run.
Yeah. Yeah, I can understand that. So, well, I think you guys all have a consensus of just loving the SEC as a whole. So Chris, your
Except for the
team.
University of Florida.
Yeah, I know. Except the University of Florida, take them out. The Gators, ain't no chopping today. So,
And let me address some of my words, because some fans may take offense to what I said about Tennessee fans. All Tennessee fans are not arrogant. There are some great people I've met that are Tennessee fans.
yeah,
And just collectively as a whole, the fan base gets under my skin. And rightfully so, because they have dominated our series. They have a right to do that.
Yeah.
But you don't own anything. You might own the series, but you don't own the state.
I heard that. So Chris, your team's opens the season for the SEC. Are they going to represent for us? Or are they going to go to Hawaii and lay an egg?
I have a good feeling about this game. Hawaii returns less than 30% of their offensive production from last year. It's a team that's in complete disarray. They're under first-year coach Timmy Chang, that used to be quarterback at Hawaii, set all kinds of passing records.
Yeah.
Their roster turnover, they've got 60 new players that were not on their roster last year.
That's a
So
lot.
there's no telling what we're going to run up against player-wise. But I feel like having SEC level talent, and there is some SEC talent at Vanderbilt, I think in the end, Vanderbilt's going to come out victorious in that game.
You just lost a starting linebacker to injury, though, didn't you?
We did lose. He's a sophomore. He's out for the season. Looks like he's going to be replaced by Darren Agu. That was a 4-star linebacker recruit. So I still have a good feeling, even with the injury that happened. I just think we have too many SEC level athletes that are going to rise to the occasion.
Well, the money line on you get, Vandy's favored by 6.5, which
Yep.
and they're flying to
Touchdown.
Hawaii. So we realize that's probably a 9.5 because you get 3 for being at home, essentially. So 9.5 point favorites basically means that, like, against the team that went 6-7 last year and you guys went 2-10, that just shows the variance in the talent level of the games they were playing against.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, how many games would Vandy have won in that conference last year, right?
Right.
The money line's negative 266. So
Is
Vegas really likes Vandy.
is your offensive line, is that something to worry about this season, or with Vanderbilt?
From the reports I'm getting from fall practice, that seems to be a strength. In
Okay.
all of the scrimmage so far, the offense has actually dominated the defense, which is highly unusual. I think everybody knows early in the fall practice, your defense generally is farther ahead than the offense. And so far, the offense is just absolutely taking it to the defense. So I think that's a positive sign that there's great improvement there.
But hasn't the offense for Vandy always kind of been better than the defense over the years? Or
Yes.
that's what I was thinking. I was thinking that their offense was over the, just from what I've seen that the offenses tend to be better than the defense anyway.
Typically it is,
Yeah.
but last year, this is an offense that scored 7 points a game in the SEC. So the offensive line last year could not block on the same levels. It was one of the worst offensive lines in college football, to be frank. And if they're taking it to a defense that returns 8 starters, that says something right there.
Yeah.
But
guess that's
I
good
think
then.
part of that comes from they've changed their offensive philosophy, where instead of having a drop back quarterback and a statue in the pocket that's going to get sacked and hurried into throws, we have a mobile quarterback now and we're running more RPO and pass option type stuff.
I mean, isn't that kind of what you have to do at I mean, I'm no disrespect, but like, isn't what the RPO and the option was designed to do? Help teams like Vandy compete with the teams like Alabama and Tennessee, because you spread out their athletes that are bigger and stronger.
Exactly, and you get a guy like Mike Wright that is probably one of the faster guys in the SEC, and get him in space with some speed, and anything can happen. So
Yeah.
that he's able to do that against the SEC level defense, I think speaks volumes at how much the offense has changed.
Do you guys need to win this game in order to have any chance on winning more games this year? Or if you lose, will that break the spirit and set the tone for the rest of the year?
I think a loss would be very detrimental. I really do. We started out last year, nobody expected Vanderbilt to lose to ETSU. Even I didn't. Coming off a
Okay.
winless season, nobody expected that. But as the season wore on, you could see why it happened. The talent, the offensive line was so bad at Vanderbilt, and it turned out ETSU was actually a pretty good football team.
They were.
I'm not making excuses, but when you add all the factors together, you can see why it happened. If we go out there and we lose to this team that is in such disarray from last year with the roster turnover and a first-year head coach, it's going to be devastating to this team.
Gotta get that win, man. You gotta go represent the SEC, man. You gotta go down.
Got to
can't-
get that win.
Yeah, we do. So, well, good luck to you guys going down to, I was telling Chris earlier that I actually lived in Hawaii for 6 years. So I actually had a chance to go to the stadium for the Pro Bowl and a couple of Hawaii games when they played, it was some years ago when they played Utah, like one of the bowl games, something like that. So it's a nice stadium, but yeah, good luck to you guys. So the seasons, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I think one factor that is going to help Vanderbilt is they actually flew out today, which gives them the entire week to acclimate, adjust their body clocks, get used to the time out there. Whereas if this was a mid-season game, that would be problem, because then you've only got 2 or 3 days to get used to it, or now you've got the whole week to do it.
Okay.
So I think that's a huge benefit, leaving out today and getting some time out there.
Cool. Okay. So week 1, guys, I have a question. Week 1, we have everybody's playing pretty much a weak team except 3 games, which is the Arkansas plays Cincinnati. Actually, Georgia plays Oregon. Florida plays Utah. And I think there was one more tough game. I think that was those 3 games. Do you guys see any upsets in those games? Or
I do.
Do you see Cincinnati beating Florida? I'm sorry, do you see Cincinnati beating Arkansas?
No,
No, not gonna
no.
happen.
Arkansas is Cincinnati is getting ranked in the top 25
Okay.
out of respect for the fact that they made the playoffs last year,
Okay.
which they had no business in the playoffs.
No.
Alabama held them to the lowest yardage output in the history of the playoffs in the first half. They had 80 yards in the first half, and 60 of those yards were on the first drive. They went after their first drive, they had 20 yards against Alabama's defense in the entire half. Alabama played bully ball against them and did whatever they wanted. They could have put 70 on them. Brian Robinson, by the way, in our storied history at Alabama, Brian Robinson set our bowl rushing record against them.
Wow.
All right, so that shows you the talent disparity. And Michigan, Michigan got pushed around as well by Georgia. which you want to talk about one of the biggest snubs of the year, the fact that their defensive end got invited to New York over Will Anderson is one of that was terrible.
Wow.
But I think Florida beats Utah, by the way.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, Wes, I'm going to have to disagree with you there. I think Utah beats Florida, and this is why. Florida is I have never seen, in my opinion, a weaker Florida team with a whole new coaching staff. They're in shambles right now. As far as I understand, Anthony Richards, I get it. Richardson, I'm not for sure. I understand he's supposed to be pretty good, but they're saying that he's kind of really struggling a lot with his receivers and stuff. I think Utah gets the upset against Florida. That's my thought.
Wow. Florida's going down.
That's what I think.
So I have an interesting take on the Florida-Utah game. Typically, a team traveling east from the West Coast does not play well.
No,
Nope.
you don't.
So I could actually see Utah going into the swamp, having problems with the heat, having problems with their body clocks, and laying an egg. I can absolutely see that.
Now, okay, and to your point, and I understand it's not the same. I get it. I don't know if you guys have saw reports. Utah has had their heat on.
They've had the heat on.
I know. You know, they are trying their best to acclimate their bodies as well as they could. So, maybe Florida still dominates, like you said, where it is in the swamp. It's going to be humidity of almost 100%, 90 degrees. It's hot, right? I lived in Florida for a short amount of time, so I know all about it.
Not to mention the 98,000 angry ass Gators and the stadium. If anybody's been to the swamp, I've been on the sidelines for a game. The stadium is built specifically to make it look like it's coming on top of you. They've never seen anything like that.
Right.
In the Pac-12, this ain't like Utah State that you're playing, man.
Right.
Although
Like
I do think Utah is a better team.
I do.
I just see them coming into Florida and struggling because of the time change and all the other factors involved. I could see them struggling. If I were to place a bet for recreational purposes, I would have to stay away from Utah.
The only thing Utah has in their favor is they circle it up because they're playing the big bad SEC, and it's week 1. And if you look at teams like Utah and Boise State historically, if they play week 1 teams, remember several years ago where Ohio State lost to Virginia Tech week 1, and they went on to win the national championship, right? Boise State beat, Virginia Tech opening weekend or Georgia opening weekend. But the difference is Boise State, Utah, all these guys, week 6, they can't do that. They're not coming into the swamp week 6 and beating Florida. Like they've had all off season to prepare for Florida. Yeah. But that's the only reason I give them a fighting chance.
Georgia, I'm sorry, go ahead, Matt.
No, I was going to say that. Do you all think Oregon had the chance to beat Georgia in week 1? I mean, it's
no chance.
I don't.
Where's that game being played? It's a neutral site, right?
Yes, I think that's a neutral site. Yeah.
Does their quarterback have? I mean, will he be able to throw the ball? Will Oregon be able to run the ball? Their fans are talking a lot of smack from what I've heard.
Oregon's got a history of talking a lot of smack about running the ball. And the last time they did it on such a public stage, their Heisman Trophy candidate running back got suspended because he took a swing at somebody after the game because he was held to 36 yards rushing for the game after saying for a full year he'd run all over the team that they were playing.
His feelings was hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were hurt for sure. Boise State put him in his place.
Wow. I think it's pretty safe to say, unless it's actually that's probably a sleeper game. What about the LSU and Florida State game?
Well, I was about to say, actually, that game isn't a neutral site game, guys. It's being played in Atlanta. I forgot that.
Okay, So that's home.
They say
Or-
that,
or-
but that, you know, that's Georgia all the way, right?
It's home.
Oregon's
Yeah.
about Oregon. I already thought Oregon was going to get drug anyway.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know that Dan Lanning is a better coach than Mario Cristobal. Mario Cristobal was a monster. He's going to put the ACC on notice, by the way. He coached under Nick Saban. He's from Miami. Dan Lanning doesn't know that landscape quite as well. Bo Nix was a joke at Florida, or I mean at Auburn. They're going to get drugged.
You talking about
Oregon.
LSU? Oh, Oregon.
No, I'm
okay.
talking about LSU's about this. LSU's playing in New Orleans.
Oh, LSU, they're
Right.
actually playing Florida State in New Orleans.
They're playing Florida State in New Orleans at
Okay.
a neutral site in the Superdome. LSU went with a new coach with something to prove. LSU beats Florida State, who, by the way, will be firing their coach at the end of the season. Florida State loses by 17.
Wow. What do you guys think? You think LSU can pull out that win at home against
I
Florida
think-
State?
I think LSU wins that game.
So I guess Florida State is just not who they used to be, and probably
No,
won't be for a while.
not
huh?
at all.
Wow.
And the interesting thing is, you're looking at two teams that max going to win 7-8 games.
Okay.
So it's going to be a really competitive game for the most part.
Okay.
But LSU's got so much more talent right now than Florida State,
Yeah.
and playing in the dome in New Orleans. I can't see Florida State going in there and beating them.
I mean, as much as I don't like the guy, Brian Kelly is still a much better coach than Mike Norvell.
Yeah.
Like, Mike Norvell has shown repeatedly that he's in over his head in the ACC. He was coaching at Memphis. He came in, and Florida State did the same thing they did. They hired the wrong Oregon coach the first time and brought in Willie Taggart. They had to fire him. Look, it's Florida State. You're not supposed to have to run gimmick plays. You line up and you beat the man across from you because you're Florida State.
That's what they.
There's
that's what
no
they're known
reason.
for. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's no reason that Florida State should be ranked. They just signed a big recruit to move to number 26 in the country in recruiting. So just a heads up, every national championship for the last 20 plus years, the team has been made up of over 50% blue chip recruits. That means there are only 8 teams in America right now that have a legit shot at winning a national championship this year, right? They are turning into 3-star U. That is not Florida
Yeah.
State, where if you
Right.
look at Florida State,
Oh.
if you look at Miami and Florida, they're number 8 and 9 in the recruiting rankings right now, right? And if both of those teams win this year, they'll move right back up toward the top 5 because both those teams are coming off struggling seasons, which for the SEC, that ain't good that Miami is going to lock down that area down there, right? And if Florida comes back, the SEC East, the rest of y'all need to watch out.
Yeah, it's true.
And to go along with your point about recruiting, when Clark Lee can come in at Vanderbilt off a winless season and 40 players on the roster and pull in a top 30 class and be ranked ahead of Florida State, you know there's a problem at Florida State.
Yeah, with the new sign, Florida State just now moved ahead of Vanderbilt. No disrespect to Vanderbilt, but if you look at the video that I just shared with everybody, where it shows the all-time AP rankings, and Vanderbilt or Florida State, I believe, is number 6 all time with the most appearances at number 1 in the AP. Vanderbilt shouldn't be out recruiting you.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Week 1. For week 1, which coach has the most to prove in week 1? Considering the teams that's being played, what they did maybe last year, their expectations going into this year, is there any coach that just like he has a lot to prove going into week 1?
Are we still talking SEC or are we going
SEC.
outside the SEC?
SEC.
That's it,
I'm going
'cause
to give
there's
you, I'll give you 2 names. Brian Harsin and Clark Lee. This is a game that Vanderbilt should go in and win. handily,
Okay.
and he's got to show that he can do that. Not get a struggle last minute field goal win like they did against UConn last year or Colorado State. You got to go in, take care of your business, and win like you're supposed to. I think Brian Harsin, if he don't win this year, is going to be fired. So he has got a lot on his plate, and I think a lot of it rides in game one.
Gotta
If
get
Brian
that win.
Harsin doesn't have 5 wins by October, he's fired by Halloween.
Okay, because you talk about let's look at Auburn real quick, right? They're kind of their tougher stretch. Okay, they're playing LSU, Georgia, Ole Miss, and Arkansas. That's a 4-game stretch right there. That if they don't win at least 2 out of 4, he's gone. He is gone.
Yep.
He is.
And one of those better be LSU, because that's your bigger rival. You better
Yes.
not drop that one again, because they dropped it last year when they're like, yeah.
Yes.
That guy seems to be making a mistake. He needs to get his stuff together, huh?
He needs to
yeah.
leave them cheerleaders alone.
You got that right.
Oh,
When-
wow.
When your former coach is out here making waves and drawing in recruits with dance-off videos that is beating any recruiting class that you've currently got at that school, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
And that's what Gus Malzahn's doing. I don't know if y'all saw it, but UCF dropped a dance-off video between their coaches this week that's drawing a lot of attention from recruits that think it's going to be fun to play for him. And if UCF is doing that and Auburn's dragging up the rear, you got problems.
In Auburn's defense, and I hate to do this. In Auburn's defense, if you look at the 2 monsters that are to the east and the west of them, the 2 best recruiting coaches in the country are to the east and the west of you. And they can't go south because guess what? Florida's locking that down because Billy Napier is going. I'm telling you, Billy Napier is coming, guys. Like, they just opened a $90 million facility, and he started out recruiting. There were a whole lot of bad things that came out at the beginning of his tenure, and he's flipped that, and now he has a top 10 rated class, right? He just took one of the top defensive linemen out of Alabama, which was like actually leaning Alabama. He just got a verbal commit from one of the top linemen out of Alabama. So Auburn is in a tough spot because they're surrounded by 3 monsters, right? So where do you go for talent? They can't go to Louisiana. Their brand has hurt for so long, and there's turmoil with your coaching staff. They can't go national to Texas, California, or anywhere else. Where do they go?
You got to learn how to sell being set right in the middle of all that. And if he can't do that, it's going to cost you your job.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's what they get paid big bucks for. I hope they want to earn it. That's a lot of pressure. Do we
Why
have
don't
any?
bring some bum from Boise State into the SEC to try to compete with Nick Saban and Kirby Smart?
And to be real, the only Boise State coach that I think ever stood a chance at competing with those guys would have been Chris Peterson. And he's long since retired.
Well, yeah, he had a mental breakdown and was like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Right.
Can't deal with it.
His mental breakdown was more real than a certain other coach that just signed a deal with
Fox?
ESPN or Fox.
No, it's Fox. Yeah.
We're talking, okay, I won't say that. So do we have any upsets in week 1? Is there any upsets? When I say upsets, because it seems like everybody's got a pretty catwalk, except with the ones that we covered. You guys see any of the teams losing? Texas A&M, any of those, Tennessee, Kentucky, anybody losing in week 1 because they were looking to week 2 already? I know that's one thing as Kentucky. No upsets, huh?
I mean, come on, man. I mean, Alabama's playing Utah State. Arkansas, Cincy, that's going to be a killer game. I think believe they're playing Mercer. Auburn is.
Yeah.
They should thump them like a Cherokee drum. Utah and Florida, that's going to be a good game. I mean, well, they should. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Oregon and Georgia, that's going to be a good one. Kentucky, who is that? Let's see, who is Kentucky playing there?
I don't think Kentucky plays week 1.
What we talking about?
They're playing.
They play Miami of Ohio.
Yeah, Miami of Ohio.
They play the Red Hawks.
Okay. Yeah, I got you. You got Ole Miss playing Troy. Now this may be a game.
I was just going to ask you. I was just going to ask that question. Yeah, go ahead, Dustin.
Sorry, you guys are breaking up, so I just want to be sure that my internet connection's okay.
Yeah.
No. Okay, so Mississippi State playing Memphis. What do you guys think of that game?
I think Mississippi State's going to be angry because they got cheated last year. Because remember, the ball was down. There was a whistle that was blown on that punt return, and the Memphis guy picked up the ball and ran it in. Remember? Yeah. I don't know if you guys remember the play I'm talking about. They got some bogus calls against Memphis last year, and they should have won that game. Mississippi State, realistically, guys, Mississippi State lost 4 games by like 3 or less points.
Yeah.
They could have had 10 wins easy last year.
Oh, yeah.
Sure. Coach Leach came out and was like, he had open tryouts for a kicker mid-season.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I think they're going to be angry because of that game.
Yeah.
And something else to consider is they're returning 18 of 22 starters.
They are, and their quarterback is good.
And they have been snubbed by every media outlet in the Southeast all preseason. They are hungry and they are angry.
And Will Rogers is tired of hearing about every other quarterback and getting left off every list. And he had more yards and more touchdowns than all those other guys outside of like Bryce. And he's sitting there going, what about me?
Yep.
Don't forget Hendon Hooker on that list now.
Wow.
But no, okay. So this little purple Panther, whatever, Georgia State, I can't stand that team. Okay. I don't like them. I hope Carolina whips the crap out of them.
I'm seeing a trend here. You don't like them. You don't like Florida. Is it for the same reason?
No.
Is there a
for the same reason?
The question is, are you rooting for South Carolina?
In that game, absolutely.
He said absolutely.
I got to hear the specific reason he don't like Georgia State.
Why is that?
Well, come on. I mean, you guys. Let's see. Let's go back. What was it? 2 years ago. Oh man. Okay. Neyland Stadium.
To be fair, you guys were dominating that game, and
no, we
coach,
weren't.
He said
no, they weren't.
No,
you were up. I think you were up double digits at one point, and your coach changed your offensive philosophy and let him back into it. So
Jeremy Pruitt has been the worst. And I'm not going to say the worst. He should have been hired as a defensive coordinator, not a head coach. He's not an offensive minded guy. You saw what he was able to do at Florida State. You saw what he was able to do at Alabama.
Don't forget Georgia.
Yes. Okay. Sorry. But he was not able to transfer that over to Tennessee. Tennessee should have had a dominant defense.
Right.
And and overall they did have a good defense that year. They had a terrible offense. They could not put points on the board. On top of that, you had Garantano. Just to be honest, he was a joke. I don't know. I knew that was the beginning of the end of Jeremy Pruitt's era at Tennessee.
Close the door, huh?
Yeah, without a doubt.
The beginning of the end for Derek Mason was the same thing. You got guys like Zach Cunningham and Adam Butler guys that are playing in the NFL today as starters, and you set the record for most points ever allowed in the SEC with that defense and the defensive mind. That was the beginning and the end.
That was it. Yeah. So my last question in 30 seconds, give me the results of give me how your team looks this year as far as the records and how it ends. Vandy.
Hold on, let me record all these.
Okay. So I'm predicting 4-0 out of conference.
Okay.
That's beating at Hawaii, Elon, Wake Forest at home without Sam Hartman, Northern Illinois on the road without their all MAC receiver Randolph,
Okay.
who's out for the season. So that's 4-0. Then you got a major roadblock with Alabama, Ole Miss, and Georgia consecutively.
Woo.
But then you go on the road to Missouri, and that's your bounce back. You have to get up off the deck from being beat down like that. And Missouri is a team that you can do that against. Get up off the deck, punch them in the mouth, go back and get back in the winning track. Follow that up with a win at home against South Carolina. You got 6 wins. You're going to a bowl game.
There you go. And that's a
So
success
6
to you guys.
6 and 6.
Yes.
6 and 6. Dustin.
Man. Okay. We won 7 ball games last year. Went 7 and 6 by losing to Purdue. We have.
You didn't lose to Purdue. You didn't lose to Purdue. It was a touchdown.
Well, that's not how the referee saw it. Okay, and
Referee was
apparently
drunk.
doesn't see it that way. Yes, I feel like that was still forward progress. That should have been a touchdown. Yes, we should have won 8 ball games last year, but that's old news. That's old history.
Yeah.
Okay. If I'm being honest with myself, I see Tennessee winning 9 ball games this year. If I'm being honest. Okay. With losses, potential losses, I mean, potentially LSU. That's going to be a tough one. It's at this year. It's at Death Valley. That's a hard place to play. Death Valley. It's going to be tough. Okay, with a loss to Alabama and a loss to Georgia. Those are the three games that I see Tennessee really potentially losing. Now, the games that are going to be some wars. It's going to be Florida, Kentucky. Gosh, that's going to be a toss-up game right there. I cannot wait to see that Tennessee-Kentucky ball game.
Yeah.
Tennessee, they barely escaped by last year in Kentucky. I feel like Kentucky is a little bit better this year. That's going to be a toss-up game between Tennessee and Kentucky. So I'm thinking they're winning 9 ball games this year.
That's
9
cool.
and 3.
Okay.
But
9 and 3, and you go to the Outback Bowl, right?
I could see that. Yes, I could see that.
I mean, the Outback Bowl is a solid bowl, man. Like and that's
Right.
a big step up from 7 wins, like especially with your schedule.
Let's see.
Yeah. Matt.
Hang on, guys. You
I'm sorry.
guys are breaking up pretty bad. Okay. What did you say, Wes? I'm sorry.
I said 9 wins after with your schedule you have a brutal schedule. And
Yes.
take a step like that to go from 7 wins to 9 wins with your schedule, that's a huge step up.
I'd
Yes.
say a huge step up for Kentucky would be
I'm just hoping that that's what's going to happen.
Matt.
win 10 games this year, maybe a trip to the Fiesta Bowl.
Okay.
That'd be
And-
nice.
Oh,
Very
yeah.
doable.
Kentucky, I believe they'll have a big shot to go down to Ole Miss and give Ole Miss a really great game. That's the one game that I've put on the calendar. I'd love to Lane Kiffin. Don't get any better than that. I mean,
I do have one question for Kentucky though. What's going on with the running back and his suspension? How will that affect the team going forward? And does it have any lasting effects later on in the season?
that's right. That's a good question. 2 to 4 games is what they're expecting him to get suspended. Mark Stoops just won't he needs to come out and just say it. I mean, he needs to come out and just tell the media how many games he's going to be suspended. I figure he'll
What's
be
he suspended for? What did he actually do?
a DUI.
Is that what it is?
Yeah,
I believe it. So it's
yeah.
not very good. You know, he got a.
I think he pleaded no contest to it. So
Okay.
yeah, I think that's what it is. Yeah, but just
Well,
like, yeah.
You saw Chris Doering on the SEC network when they're predicting your schedule. You saw Chris Doering predicted you guys to go 11-1 with your only loss at Tennessee, right?
Yeah. So I mean,
That means they go down. So that means they'll beat Georgia.
That means they beat Georgia, Florida, and Ole Miss.
Kentucky has the team to do it this year. They really do. They really do.
What I'm waiting to see is how good their defense is going to be. Can they Rhea the last 4 years, their defense has gotten better at times, but that's going to be their defense. See how improved it is. That's because if their quarterbacks say if he has an off game, how's the defense going to bail him out? If they're running the ball,
yeah,
it'll be good. It'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. I believe Kentucky can win 10 or 11 games.
And Kentucky does have some good young freshmen that have come in there from
Yeah.
Middle Tennessee.
Yeah.
One of them is a running back that was a verbal commit to Alabama, and then come signing day, he actually signed with Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
We actually got UK actually got a receiver out of Tennessee too as well. Brown came over. He's from Tennessee, so he's a big time receiver. He came over too as well. So I have to see how they do.
I think, like Wes said.
Hey,
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Matt. Sorry.
I'll say, like Wes said, I think it was last week. If Kentucky, anything less than 9 wins before going to a bowl game would probably be unacceptable, and that's coming from Kentucky, you'll take 9 wins, 8 or 9 wins, but 2 out of the last 3 years, I mean, they really worked to where they've gotten. Coach Stoops, and now his brothers joined them. Anything less than 9 wins would just would be heading in the wrong direction.
It would be.
Yeah.
I like the fact that Matt said that anything less than 9 or 10 wins would be unacceptable. That's when your fan base knows that your program's going in the right direction.
Yeah.
That's when you've got a coach that's building the program the way it should be.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that about Coach Stoops a lot.
And I think that's
Dustin,
probably
what
the
were you
same
going to
thing.
say?
I think the same thing for Alabama. Anything other than the SEC championship, at least playing in it, is not a successful year. That means you guys lost and somebody beat you. So,
Yeah.
And just as a comparison of where the programs are at, for me, anything less than 4 wins this year, for me, would be unacceptable. You have to build this thing and get it moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
And you come in off a winless season, you won 2. Okay, now it's take another step forward, double that, win 4.
Yeah.
Yes,
my goals are lofty at winning 6, but less than 4 is unacceptable for me.
So real quick, before I give my prediction, Dustin, I have a question for you too, man. Like, so if you guys win 9 games this year, is next year that year that Heupel has to beat one of those, Alabama or Georgia, or you don't see it moving forward to where you need to be?
This year, Tennessee has got to beat Florida. They have to. If you can't beat Florida this year, when can you? That's my question, to the Tennessee coaching staff. Georgia is still a little bit ahead of Tennessee. Alabama, until Saban retires, I just don't see it. We have not beat Saban one single time. The last time we beat Bama was in 2006. What I believe Saban's first season was 2007, correct, or 2008? Could be.
Yeah, it was 2007.
2007. So there you go. Since that's the last time Tennessee has beat Bama was in 2006 when Tennessee had a 10-win season.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2007 they made it to the SEC championship. Of course, they lost LSU. But yes, next year if they don't beat at least Georgia, there's going to be some head scratching, like, guys, we're supposed to be at the top. Where, why haven't we achieved that yet? Now next year we'll be losing Hooker. He's a big time piece to the puzzle for that offense.
But didn't you just spend $8 million to sign like one of the top quarterbacks in America?
Nico Lamalila, yes. Mm-hmm. Nico Lamalila, that is true. He is what I believe the second rated quarterback, I think, in the country behind Arch Manning, I believe. You have Joe Milton, who can throw it 100 yards, but he isn't accurate at all. You saw that against the Tennessee Pitt. After Hendon Hooker came in, we started winning. So he's going to be a big piece of the puzzle this year.
Yeah.
He's going to be a big piece of the puzzle this year.
And let me throw.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Let me throw out some questions for Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we know Josh Heupel's track record. Everywhere
Yes.
he's been, he's come in good in season 1 and regressed year 2, year 3. He was that way as an offensive coordinator. He's been that way as a head coach at UCF.
Mm-hmm.
If he regresses this year and follows that
Mhm.
track record, is that alarming for Tennessee fans? That's number one. And number two, Hendon Hooker is such a big part of that offense.
Yes.
What happens if, I don't wish this on anybody, but what happens if he gets hurt and you have to go to Milton? What does that change your season to look like?
You've got to lean. You guys have one of the best running backs in the SEC that nobody knows who it is.
Jabari Small.
Jabari Small is a monster, and he runs angry.
He is. So Tennessee is an underlying running ball team. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but Tennessee runs the ball probably 60% or 70%. So as far as if Milton has to come in, if the unfortunate thing happens with Hooker, I think we'll be okay as far as points go, because our offensive line has gotten a little bit better. We only lost Cade Mays. Let's see. I believe we have a sophomore coming in this year, so our offensive line is going to be okay. Our running game is going to be good. The first part of the question, if we go less than 8 wins this year, absolutely, we're going to be saying, what the heck is going on? Because Tennessee had one of the most productive offenses last year out of the entire SEC. I mean, that's just the fact of it. So if we're not productive again like that, we're going to be asking what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure.
And I can say the same thing with Mike Wright. If he goes down and we're stuck with Ken Seals, we're in trouble. It's just a matter of fact. We're in trouble without Mike Wright learning that offense.
See, I like Ken Seals last year. Actually, I thought he was a better quarterback than the. I just think you didn't have. Look, man, you're just playing in a different league, right? No offense, this isn't the ACC. This isn't the Mountain West. Like last year, you guys were the worst Vanderbilt team I remember seeing.
Yeah, and that's fair. Our offensive line was absolutely horrible last year.
Yeah, the poor kid couldn't stand up to throw the ball. So my prediction for this year, and this is, I'm not being a homer. Dude, everything that's coming out, our players are talking about, we're 1 quarter. We're actually 8 minutes away from winning a national championship. And our players are talking about it being a failure. All right, we're talking about the Heisman Trophy winner and the best player in America on defense, probably, right? Jordan Battle came back, who would have been a first-round draft pick at safety. We quite possibly have 3 first-round draft picks at safety this year. Dallas Turner on the other side of Will Anderson. By the way, he had the same number of sacks in the 8 games that he started last year in the back half of the year as Will Anderson. He ended up with 12 sacks in 8 games. The guy, and we're going to have a good interior defense. No, sorry, this might be a sore point for you, Tennessee, but the leader of our defense is Henry To'oTo'o. Like that
Oh, I
kid
know.
is one of the smartest football players I've ever seen. And that's saying something being at linebacker U in Alabama, right? I think we're about to lay waste to the entire SEC. Anything that gets in front of us, we're burned.
I think he got overly excited.
I think he froze on us.
I think he's pretty excited about the season.
So like I think we go 12-0.
There he is.
The only my bad. Do what?
No, you had frozen a little
You
bit.
froze on us there for a second.
Oh, my bad. I just went on this tirade too.
That's okay. It froze at the right time. You good?
We all know what you were saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically I was saying that we're gonna like I hope Georgia is the team we play in Atlanta because I don't think Saban's gonna like take his foot off the gas. I said I think we're gonna march to Atlanta the same way Sherman did and burn everything in front of us. The only time I think that we're vulnerable in the regular season, there's a stretch, in October. And I'm extremely happy that it actually falls back on the third Saturday in October again. I don't think we're vulnerable to Texas A&M because I think we're going to play bully ball and crush them. But I think because we play Arkansas the week before A&M and we play Tennessee the week after, if anybody gets us, it'll be before or after A&M. It'll be Arkansas or Tennessee. And after, if we get,
That's like, yes, there's hope.
I wish.
So you said there's a chance.
I mean, I think Heupel's a
There's
good coach.
always a chance, man.
Yeah,
Every
yeah.
given Saturday,
Yeah, it
there's an
is.
opportunity
It is.
for
You have to-
anybody to
No, there's
upset you.
not. No, there's
Just
not. We say-
remember, the guy was losing the fight last night, and all it took was one kick, and it was over. Any given point in time, anything can happen.
Yeah, but this is a 60-minute game, and you're not
That's
knocking
true.
out Alabama with one punch.
This is true.
Right.
Because if Bryce Young goes down, Jalen Milroe comes behind him, and if Milroe goes down, Ty Simpson, who's a 5-star, comes behind him.
Ty Simpson is the dog.
I mean,
This guy was running 103-degree fever in the state semifinal game and threw up 7 times on the field and had 300 yards passing, 200 yards rushing.
I was about to say, don't forget
Kid's
the
elite.
rushing yards.
Kid's elite.
Yeah, he is a beast. And by the way, he's probably still going to be third string next year because the kid we just signed that is the best quarterback recruit out of Louisiana, by the way. And it ain't Eli. Arch. Arch is overrated.
Yeah.
Maybe Kentucky will get him when he transfers. Yeah.
So
You don't want him.
I'm talking about the one that's going to be on third string.
Yeah, are you talking about Ty Simpson?
Yeah. We'll get him off transfers then. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, it's not
I
out
like
of
the
the
kid a
question
lot.
considering where he's from.
Yeah, he's from Tennessee. He's from Northern Tennessee too.
That's okay. He don't go to Tennessee. So, well, hey guys, I really appreciate. What's that?
I was going to throw a question out there for everybody
Okay.
regarding NIL stuff. We know the rumors about Tennessee and their quarterback and the $8 million. The question
Oh, that's
is,
not rumored. That's true.
it's rumored now that he's been in some serious talks with Texas A&M. He was there last weekend on an official visit. We see what happened with Miles Brennan this week. After signing 2 NIL deals, he just walks away from the game. Are we ever going to, what is your idea about getting some accountability for these players signing these deals and then walking away?
They should be able to walk away because they're not signing deals with the schools. They're signing deals and this is what Saban alluded to this week. The collective thing is bogus. It wasn't there. You're not supposed to have collectives. This is supposed to be for them to sign, like, no offense, Tennessee, but this is the greatest NIL deal ever. The running back from Texas, he signed to have the Bijan mustard. Did you see that? That's awesome.
That's
by the
clever.
way. Like that's the thing, man. Like you can't hold these players accountable. Like I don't have a problem with them getting paid.
Right.
Right. My thing is we have to have some regulations, right? Because in Alabama and Florida, like there's a cap and there are regulations. There are no regulations in Texas, right?
Well,
it's different. They can use a collective. And we both know there are laws in Texas. They're violating the laws because you heard the coach on the sidelines. Literally, the video got posted.
And that's all fair. I just want to see something where we keep the boosters out of it. And we all know the boosters are what's funding the collectives.
Wasn't it Jackson State that just capped all their players at 47,000 a year or something like that?
I know SMU is paying their players 35 a year.
Okay, I saw a school. I don't know. I thought it was Jackson State, maybe not, but there was a school that capped it all their players at 47,000 a year.
It's a lot of money.
It is.
I mean, so here's my whole thing about it. It is and it isn't, right? Like I'm okay paying the players, right? And let's call it what it is. Like they do generate a lot of revenue for the school, right?
Yeah.
They do.
And this may touch some people off, and this might make some people angry. But if you're going, and the media didn't think this through, when the left-wing liberal leaning media wants to bang the drum for certain people, like we're taking advantage of these poor student athletes. See, I've been there. I worked with them, and I know that and like I was telling you guys a couple weeks ago, they all get per diem. They get monthly stipends. If they decide to live off campus, they get money to pay for their campus housing or off-campus housing. By the way, they get to eat in different dining halls. They get academic support that the rest of us as students didn't get.
Yep.
Right? Okay. Now, do they work harder than all of us? Yes. They're at meetings at 5 a.m. They're at workouts at 8 a.m. They go to class. They come back and they practice when it's 103 degrees in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Right? Right. So, and they have to maintain their grades to play, other expectations. But the 85th guy on scholarship gets the exact same scholarship that Bryce Young gets, that Will Levis gets, that Hendon Hooker gets. Sorry, I can't think of any of the guys on Vanderbilt's team, so I can't name any of them. Sorry, man.
Mike Wright, Ken Seals, Darren Agu.
Ken Seals. There we go. So, okay, they deserve, and if you want to pay them, that's fine. However, if you want to talk about how much money the football team makes, and Title IX says that we have to give all the women's scholarships equal to men's, right? Okay, and we want to run it like a business because it's a business. Last time I checked, businesses, when departments and divisions don't make money, they cut them. So that means every women's sport in America, minus 2 teams, Tennessee's women's basketball program doesn't even make money.
No.
Georgia, Alabama, our gymnastics teams win the national championship every daggum year. We can't make money. UConn's women's basketball team barely makes a profit. The men's track team got to go at every Arkansas and Tennessee's men's track team don't even make money, and they crush everybody else in America.
Yep.
You can see I'm a little bit passionate about this.
Yeah.
And even college baseball, as of 2015,
there were only about 20 teams that were making money in America.
There were only 3 teams in the SEC as a whole made a profit. Vanderbilt, as good as what they were in 2015, being a NCAA runner-up, their profit was $100,000.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like, so if you want to act like it's a business, that's fine. But look what you just did to 400,000 student athletes that can't afford to go to college, and that's their only way to go to college. Yep. So what you're doing is you're penalizing the have-nots because it's just like the real world. There are some of us at Alabama, we're the haves. And Nick Saban even said that this week. We're the haves. This ain't going to affect us the wrong way. We're going to keep winning.
Yeah.
The have-nots, who this is going to hurt, are the MTSUs, the Middle Tennessee States, the team that Billy Napier just came from. They're going to get crushed now because they can't recruit. They can't go 11-1 now because they can't even get the 3-star kids.
Right.
There was one Power 5 team, I saw the report this week, that operated their entire athletic budget was like $117 million in the hole. And I can't remember who it was.
I mean, look at right now. Hey, Chris, how did Vanderbilt's softball team do this year?
Yeah, we ain't even got one.
You don't got, that's why I said that. Like,
Right.
they because it costs too much money for them to field a women's softball team.
Yeah.
They chose to field a women's lacrosse team or something that had like 6 scholarships.
And the one thing about it, we are getting a volleyball team, which
I'm sorry, that's what it was, a volleyball team.
we should have a volleyball team. We can compete in that. The scholarships are relatively low, numbers wise.
And you can share a facility with the basketball program.
Exactly.
There you go. NIL, man. It's
a crazy deal.
It's always going to be something, man. So, hey, I really appreciate you guys taking time out of your busy schedule today and come on and talk about it. We, as SEC fans, we definitely are rooting for Vandy to go down to Hawaii and get that win.
Anchor up.
Yeah, anchor up. There you go. So we really appreciate that. This is the second to none show, and we really appreciate you guys, and we look forward to week 1, getting into it, and let's go SEC, and thank you guys for joining. You guys have a wonderful rest of the Sunday afternoon, and have a great week, guys.
All right, you guys have a great week.
Thank all of you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.